everybody. It's Tyler. Welcome to the show. I see all your comments here. Sorry. Zach is indisposed in the moment. You know, if you're a Patreon member, if you're not a Patreon member, then I will just leave it at that. He's indisposed currently, trying to figure out if he's able to make the show. I assume he will not be, but I wanted to pop on, give everybody an update that he is good. If Sean's in the chat, which he's not, I think he was in direct communication with Zach. So yeah, let's do a quick little show together. I apologize for the weird screen because, like, that's too close, right? You can put it in the comments there. So we'll do a quick little show together talking about wrestling. You know, I'm not the prepared one. Zach is. So I'm going to go back. It's too much Tyler. And talk with you guys. Give you some thumbs up, thumbs down, Saturday night's main event, Raw, what's on the horizon for Money in the Bank, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, let's start. Big weekend. I did not watch Battleground as of yet. Spoiler. Thank you, Joshua. You know, so there's a big result there at that Battleground show. If you were curious and didn't watch it, you can feel free to look it up. Yes, the mustache is mustaching full screen, so thank you. I can't be talking about Adam here. I'll pop that up for you, Adam. Zach usually pops up the chat, so I apologize in general if I miss people. But yeah, try not to be a full mid-30s white guy and only have a mustache, so you gotta have a little chin hair too. So appreciate it. But yeah, so we won't talk about that because I haven't watched it yet. But we'll talk about Saturday night's main event. I did watch that. Opening match I really enjoyed with Seth and Braun taking on CM Punk and Sami Zayn. Very fun match. You know, it feels like 75 years ago that this happened, so we'll brush over a lot of this quickly. Introduction of Bronson Reed will dovetail with our Raw analysis from last night, but I feel about the same as when that happened. Feels like an uninspired pick, in my personal opinion. I get it. But, you know, it feels like a Tama Tonga Loa addition to the bloodline as opposed to a Jacob Fatu. So that's all I'll say on that. Love the match itself. Fun opener. Fun reveal to have Bronson Reed in there. So all that was good. Rest of the show, not a huge fan of, believe it or not. Did not like the Chelsea Green Zelina Vega match. Certainly did not like the John Cena R-Truth match. I think that's pretty obvious as well. So there's all of that. And then we have the main event. And the cage match, fine match. Probably second best in the show. Just Ventura being obnoxious on that was not it for me. Yeah, Adam does say we believe it. So, yeah, and Joshua says here in the chat, Saturday night's main events are hot, and then it was all downhill. Yes, I would agree. The cage match, you know, having the babyface leave via the door is like a choice, and an interesting choice. Obviously, if you guys saw the news, Drew McIntyre's taking some time off, just as part of his schedule. So that made sense. So sorry, guys. Texting with. Yeah, so it's just like, you know, that door in the cage is just like the worst thing not the worst thing WWE does, but one of the worst, like, consistent gimmicks that they deal with. So yeah, just didn't love that. And main event, you know, I don't know how everyone else feels about Logan Paul. You know, obviously inside, outside the ring, you can have your own opinions on him, but feels like that gimmick has expired for me, at least personally, of being interesting and like, oh, wow, here's this guy coming out and doing stuff. It just felt, you know, he needs big time guys. Sean's in the chat. Sean was just texting me. So hello, Sean. Good to see you this way as well. But Jesse seems to, Jesse Ventura. Yes. Well, yeah, we know it's not the fluoride in the drinking water. I think he avoids fluoride, I would guess, right? But, yeah, Jesse is terrible at these things, but it is what it is. Yeah, and just, you know, Logan Paul needs a really good worker, or at least if AJ Styles is at 72% of what he is at his absolute peak, 10, 15 years ago, he still has the brain of an all-time great wrestler that can at least get some interesting stuff. And even that match was poor at WrestleMania. So it's, him and Jay was more a vessel to get to the tag match, which I get. But, uninspiring match with a way to come back, for Cody. Cody's big comeback. It's fun. It's exciting. Like, does this have more to coincide with doing a big event? Like, needing him to be the main event of Money in the Bank? Is it him like, hey, the podcast is coming out next week, so I got to come back to make sure I promote that? It feels more like that than like what his character should be doing in this arc. So we'll see what happens in that tag match. Color me not intrigued. I'd say right now we'll talk about this with Raw. I'm women's Money in the Bank match, then men's Money in the Bank match, then this tag match would be how I like level my excitement for the show. So there's that. So again, Saturday night's main event, not great. We'll see. That's kind of leaning into form on what this is going to be long term, as better than Battle of the Belts that AEW was putting on as like a TV special event, but not a pay-per-view. And we're kind of slowly getting into that zone where it's like a pseudo pay-per-view with some of the matches, but they're really 2 pay-per-view level matches and 3 TV matches. And I think that's more just what we should expect for this. So let's talk a little bit about Raw. Opening segment. Interesting, right? And I, wish Zach was here for many reasons, but just the idea, and like Seth Rollins even playing with it, of the crowd doing the chant and then booing him and then doing the chant again. I do think there's like a missed opportunity here for Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, maybe, because he's the better talker of the two, to be like, you never cared about Seth Rollins. All you did was want to sing a song, and all he was a song to you. So there's a way to like lean into that and make more sense as to like why Seth Rollins felt that the whole time. It felt like the crowd like was, pandering to him, or, hey, you're not like the guy, but you're a fun guy, so we'll sing your song for you. We feel bad for you, like whatever, that sort of stuff. They need to do. I think they need to address that. They need that crowd not to do that song, or it needs to mean something completely different. Like the crowd needs to do it in spite of Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins needs to act like he hates it every time people do it, and they can like cut him off mid promo singing the song, and they can take it back as the universe. Like if that's CM Punk and he wants to take credit for that, or if that's Sami Zayn, he takes credit for like, hey, that's their song, not your song. And then the crowd does that as an anti-Rollins thing. I think that would be the easiest way to kind of jujitsu this, use the crowd's leverage against them to get you over as a heel. But overall, I do like the segment explaining Bronson Reed. I didn't care tremendously. I mean, obviously they needed to say something, but I wasn't too worried about it. It's been so long. Bronson Reed is a character that is, tertiary at best in the grand scheme of WWE before this. So using that as like the benevolent leader that Seth Rollins is, at the same time as, Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker probably using Bronson Reed to screw over Seth Rollins at some point. Super intriguing to me. And so I liked all that. And Seth had good heat in general, good promo time. It was not as Paul Heyman focused, which was good. It was more Seth Rollins focused in terms of mic time, and then obviously Bronson and Braun not talking a lot was a good idea too. And we'll see. Will the kiss of death of Paul Heyman saying that Braun Breaker is going to main event, WrestleMania 45 through 50? Is he in the company? Is he part of the company and when WrestleMania 45 rolls through? Obviously, I would say the heavy favorite would be yes, but usually that is a pretty solid kiss of death at some point for a talent to just label them as such. So just something to track. Rest of the show, let's think. It's been almost 24 hours, so you can forgive me and my back to work from a long vacation brain. what else do we have? We had Gable and Penta and Dragon Lee in the triple threat match to qualify. Really good action here. That was fun. Penta wins. Perfect guy for Money in the Bank. Not going to win, of course. But, you know, how far away are we from the Lucha Bros connecting? You know, it doesn't seem like it needs to be anytime soon, as later we have New Day winning the tag titles from the Viking Raiders. In all of that, you know me, I want to talk about the thing that's not in the ring. It's the Bert Chrysler, and Tom Segura segment, which is just, you know, a long line of these comedians, right, that have Netflix allegiance, popping on the show and doing all that sort of stuff. You know, don't forget Tom Segura. There's a clip. I'm sure you can find it. It's been making the rounds today. It was like 2 years ago, where he said everyone who likes wrestling is mentally handicapped in a different way than I just said it. So, you know, I know he apologized for it, whatever, he's a comedian. So the word doesn't offend me. It's just like when people are so reductive about people liking a certain thing. That was, you know, it is what it is. It tells you all you need to know about the person, that he's not intelligent enough to enjoy professional wrestling like the rest of us. So just, yeah. But, you know, and just like Bert Chrysler, his whole thing. Not my gimmick, you know, not my kind of gimmick, the shirt off thing and being beat red. But if it's there, if it works for you, it works for you. And, you know, Viking Raiders are a good pairing for them. So it is what it is. But New Day beat Viking Raiders to win the tag titles. Man, I'm trying to think what else was on this card, this show. The next thing I want to, we had the stuff with Judgment Day and Liv Morgan coming back, confronting Dom for eating Roxanne Perez's chicken nuggets, which is a great analogy for cheating on your significant other. So I like all that stuff. Carlito being the voice of reason to tell him he needs to stop eating her chicken nuggets. Very funny. You know, classic New Day stuff, Judgment Day stuff. Sorry, reading the comments. Yes, and thank you, Adam, for I missed that segment as well. So I'll backtrack to that. So yeah, fun stuff. Sets up, you know, the interesting thing of like Liv here is way more babyface. And that's good. The company knows like, hey, she's back and people like her and she's a big star. And her, like, you know, her character is like, you know, she said, hey, I watched the product and Raquel's telling me what's going on. Like, and Dom being like, what? You know, she's not a dumb heel. She's a smart baby face, or starting to be that. She also is like, oh, I'm going to go talk to Pierce to get it in the qualifying match for Money in the Bank. You know, not just saying like, I'm going to get a spot. She has to earn it. And so, you know, we'll talk about that match later. But I think the groundwork has been set for her to be a pretty big baby face pretty quickly. So that makes sense to me. And having her not in that match, spoiler alert, while Rhea Ripley's in there, makes sense to have them separated for a little while. Makes sense to get her over as that baby face. Let's backtrack a little bit. I missed the Rusev and Akira Tozawa squash match, which is what it was. And then Sheamus comes out and they do a stare down and they're setting up, you know, that's like a solid TV match. Storyline, you know, last time they wrestled each other, I'm sure someone could pull it up, but obviously different era, but, you know, I can't remember what that match was like. I'm sure it was fine. So I'm sure this will also be fine. Which is interesting, like of the guys who like to bounce back and forth, like Rusev, Andrade, and Aleister Black, just to, you know, all of them let go at that one point, signed to AEW contracts and go back to WWE. Yeah. You know, maybe Vince and Tony were right. And maybe Paul Levesque is like, oh, yeah, well, they were right, huh? League of Nations. Oh, what a horrible faction that was. So what was that? Sheamus, Rusev. Was Jinder in that group? at the end there. Drew, maybe? Probably not Drew. Maybe it was. I don't know. But yeah, pretty rough when Sheamus and Rusev were together. So that makes sense. Wade Barrett. Yeah. So there you go. So then we had the women's match. Again, let me know if I missed a match in between here. Kairi Sane gets the spot, and you do the whole story of Raquel and Roxanne are competing to help Liv. And hilarity ensues, what have you. Kairi Sane gets the win and qualifies, and Liv is there to pick up the pieces. And it's interesting how they handle this. Again, very babyface by Liv. Sean says she was a little rusty. Yeah, I would say so. Liv, I think, really improved as a wrestler before her hiatus, but I don't think anyone would accuse her of being, an elite professional wrestler, bell to bell. I think she's a pretty good professional wrestling talent, as she has a lot of personality, etc. Yeah, and Josh saying, I thought it was a spot. I thought it was the qualifying match, but maybe not. I thought they had her on the graphic, though. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Someone tell me if I'm wrong. I thought that was a qualifying match for Money in the Bank. Oh, was it? Okay, cool. LOL is right. So my bad on that. I was mistaken. But still having, that story. I like that with Liv Morgan. The important thing here is, hey, it's not a DQ finish. And Liv told Raquel that she is the veteran. And, it's her fault for letting that get out of hand, not Roxanne. It was an interesting way to take that. So there's that. Then we had our main event. Again, and let me know if I'm missing anything. I'm trying to run through the Rolodex without usually Zach's got the lineup. So I just wanted to pop on, make sure you guys got at least a little bit of a show here. Distraction finish better than DQ finish. Yeah, so it's Seth and Finn and Sami in our main event to qualify from the Money in the Bank ladder match. Good stuff. Always was fun. I was talking to Zach yesterday as we were trying to plan out when to do the Patreon exclusive Double or Nothing Patreon show. And I was like, what do you think is going to happen on Raw tonight? You think it's going to be like Seth and his group open the show and then Sami Zayn loses in the main event? And it was very funny that that's what happened. So not a bad thing. I mean, sometimes when you can tell the story, it doesn't be a triple threat, whatever. I'm just saying, like, Raw is the best WWE show currently. Raw, NXT, SmackDown would probably be how I would order that. But they need to be careful about being so predictable all the time with, like, at least the way the show's laid out. But anyway, solid match. Finn Balor, I think, has been putting in a lot of really good work in ring for a while. So that was good. I mean, all guys put in good work. I like Dom throwing the chair in between. And Seth was able to do a curb stomp before Finn could get to it, get the win, etc. So Seth qualifies, obviously important for the main event. And CM Punk comes in, makes the save as Seth Rollins was directing his goons to beat up Finn and Sami some more. And CM Punk rolls in, saves the day from behind, and does the heel move, essentially, right, which is interesting on the booking decision, where he rolls out of the ring after attacking Rollins as the reinforcements come, and the heels hold strong in the ring as CM Punk rides off in the sunset and is cheered. So makes sense for Punk and his character as like a lone wolf sort of thing. Just interesting, just note what they're doing there. That's like very strange for a babyface to run away and have the heels guard the ring as that happens. So there's a reason it's 99% of the time the other way around. But it worked here for me. So it's just something, if you don't do it again with CM Punk, it's fine. If you do it a lot with that cadence, I think that can be a problem. So, and yeah, Sean says here, Feels like Sami turning heel more and more. Would agree. Obviously, a lot of backstage promo time with him. What it means to him, etc. Oh my God, how could I forget about Jay and Gunther? We'll talk about that as well. And Lyra and Becky. Oh my God, my bad guys. They were like the two things I want to talk about with Zach. So that was your main event. Let's backtrack. Gunther, Jay, the promo. Yeah, I know Zach really liked this. He told me he did today when we were doing the Patreon show. Again, just like something's going on here. I don't like Jay saying like, I'm tired of hearing everyone say my time's up, etc. I think the way Gunther is handling it is better, of saying like, hey, this is not the traits of a champion, not like, hey, you are a guy that no one thinks is a champion. So I like that a lot more. I like the Gunther perspective. That was more the pro wrestling character view of it, while Jay is literally just saying like, hey, keyboard warriors like me, right? I guess I would take them to be that. Stop saying like I can't wrestle and I suck and my title reign is going to end soon because no one believes in me, right? So, and then the way Gunther handles it, saying like, hey, you're a nice guy. He's all your positive traits. Doesn't make a good champion. You need to look out for yourself. You need to look out for that title, etc. Is the correct way to handle it, in my opinion, to say the same thing, but keep it in the context of pro wrestling and in the ring, etc. So I, for once, liked a Gunther version of this, and I think I helped Jay the way he did that. So, so thumbs up for Gunther for doing that. But it's hard for Jay too. Like he's telling two stories at the same time. We're talking about Logan Paul, talking about John Cena, talking about him tagging with Cody, and while also gonna have to balance, you have a title match 2 days later, which is either to reaffirm, like if Jay pins Logan Paul on that pay-per-view, and then pins Gunther 2 days later, convincingly taps him out as he's claiming he's going to do. That'll solidify him as a guy who, like, oh wow, maybe he will have a long run and he'll probably lose the next match he has. Or it's a way to get Gunther the title and move on and have some bigger match for SummerSlam. I don't know. I mean, Gunther winning it doesn't make much sense to me, but I have to see it play out to see what they're doing. Definitely seems like Seth getting that title off Jay makes the most sense. So we shall see. Then we had Lyra. I know I'm out of order here, but kind of most important things, right? Lyra Valkyrie in the middle of the ring, cutting a promo. C-SPAN, as if Adam's still here. I was curious what your thoughts on the C-SPAN promo was. I thought she was okay. And it was better once Becky came out. I think Becky's playing a good heel character. I would love if Lyra and other performers wouldn't reference, like if Seth is not involved in the story, which he's not, there's really no reason to bring him in. Same thing for Seth certainly doesn't need Sami to talk about Becky, right? To make that, or CM Punk doesn't need to talk about Becky to get their feud to work. I don't think Lyra needs to talk about Seth to get their feud to work. But that's really my only note. Everything else is pretty good. Painted Becky as somebody who's like politicking to get title shots, and Lyra's the babyface. It's like, fine, this is it though, and I'm going to beat you. And I'm going to prove once and for all that I'm better than you. So, yeah, I mean, good stuff. I think she has this. I still think Becky's going to win at this point, and then we set up her and Bayley probably for SummerSlam. But Lyra does feel more important after this feud than before it. And that's really all you can ask for. She feels like a talent who is not going to get cut in the ear, which is like something that I wouldn't say is likely 6 weeks ago, but certainly now it seems like she's taken this opportunity, gleaned from it, become a better talent, kind of like Ricochet in AEW, where it's like, hey, we're not sure about this guy, but he's like really taken the opportunity he's been given and made a big deal of it. So that's how I feel about Lyra here. A good talent that has taken this opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work for an extended period of time with Becky Lynch. So good stuff all around. So solid episode of Raw, I thought. Nothing too groundbreaking, but we're so tight in between how they set up the schedule with Saturday night's main event to then Money in the Bank. So I'm excited for Money in the Bank. Like I said, I think the women's match way more intriguing currently than the men's match. As just everybody in the women's match, I can see winning with different levels. And right now, Seth and that's it. I don't see Solo, LA Knight, or Penta winning that thing. So there's still 2 more spots for that. But if it's Seth and maybe one other person can win that right now, legitimately, or else it feels strange, then, we'll see about that. So, yeah. So that's going to do it for me, guys. Appreciate you guys joining for a short episode of the flagship show here, but appreciate you guys as always. Zach and I will be back Thursday talking Dynamite, hopefully an important Dynamite. And obviously I'll get his thoughts on all that I discussed tonight. Saturday night's main event, Raw review, etc. If you want his thoughts before that, you can read the newsletter, which you can get on Substack. Just search Brass Ring Media, and please give us a follow on Patreon, etc. So thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me. Yeah, see you guys later.